Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. So here we are from Group 4. We want to present our discussion results about bankruptcy analysis in PT Unilever Indonesia Tbk. But before we dive into the presentation, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Farah Rahmatunazila. Next, please.
My name is Pira Angelica.
And then there are two our members. The first one is Ratu Ruth. She can attend this presentation because she's sick and now she's in the hospital. And then the one is Muhammad Faisal Izzuddin.
Okay, the first point is about bankruptcy analysis. Next. So, bankruptcy analysis is a way to predict whether a company might go bankrupt or face serious financial problems in the future. Involves looking at the company's finance, such as its financial ratios, cash flow, and debts, as well as outside factors like market and industry conditions. And then, according to Pluto, 2011, bankruptcy happens when a company can no longer pay its debts or run its business properly. By doing bankruptcy analysis early and regularly, companies, investors, creditors, and regulators can better understand financial risk. This helps them make smart decisions like cutting costs, changing how the business operates, or finding new funding. So, the company can stay in business and avoid bankruptcy. Uh, the next one is about benefits of bankruptcy analysis. The first one, they are for the companies. It helps to detect financial problems earlier, so the company can take action before the company going to bankrupt. And then for the investor, it helps to assess the risk of investing in a company and make smarter choices. And then for the shareholders, it provides insight into company's financial health and potential risk. And then for the lenders, it helps check if the company can repay the loans or uh, it can reduce the risk of bad debts.
Company profile. So PT Unilever Indonesia Tbk is one of Indonesia's largest and best known consumer goods companies, founded on 5 December 1933. The company is part of the Unilever Group based in the UK and the Netherlands. Unilever Indonesia head office is located in Tangerang, Banten, and has been listed as a public company on the Indonesia Stock Exchange since 1982. Unilever Indonesia focuses on the production and distribution of various daily needs products, which are divided into two main segments, namely the home and personal care or HPC, and foods and refreshment or FNR segments. The HPC segment includes body care and household hygiene products such as soap, Lifebuoy, Lux, and then shampoo, Clear, Sunsilk, and then toothpaste, and then deodorant, detergent, and house cleaner. Meanwhile, the FNR segment includes food and beverage products such as ice cream, tea, condiments, and margarine. With a strong brand portfolio and extensive distribution network, Unilever Indonesia has become a major player in the consumer goods industry in the country and is committed to sustainability and product innovation.
Okay, thank you, Fira. The next material is about univariate analysis. Definition of univariate analysis. So, a univariate approach can use to predict financial distress, financial difficulties, with the assumption that the distribution for companies that experiencing financial difficulty is different with the distribution of financial variables for companies that are not experiencing financial difficulties. There are four variables that show differences. The first one is rates of return. The bankrupt companies tend to have a lower rate of return than the return similar companies that are not bankrupt. And then the second one is use of debt. So bankrupt companies tend to use higher debt. The third one is protection against fixed costs. The bankrupt firms tend to have fixed payment coverage. Bankrupt firms tend to have less fixed payment coverage. And then for the last one is fluctuations in stock returns. So the bankrupt firms tend to have lower average returns and have higher fluctuations in stock returns.
The next is multivariate analysis. The definition of multivariate analysis. So multivariate analysis is bankruptcy prediction refers to the use of two or more financial variables evaluated simultaneously to assess a company's risk of financial distress. Unlike univariate analysis, which considers only one variable at a time, multivariate analysis assumes that bankruptcy is a multidimensional phenomenon requiring the integration of several indicators to provide a more accurate and reliable prediction. It is particularly useful in addressing the limitation of conflicting signals that can occur when variables are analyzed in isolation. And then the underlying assumptions. The multivariate approach is based on the following assumption. The first is different financial patterns exist between bankrupt and non-bankrupt firms. And then the second is the interaction among financial variables is more informative than any single metric. And then the third is a combination of variables. For the example is liquidity, solvency, profitability, efficiency that better reflects the company's overall financial health. And then the last is statistical models can distinguish between classes or distressed as healthy based on financial profiles. Types of multivariate techniques used. The several statistical tools and models fall under multivariate analysis in bankruptcy prediction. That is include the first is multiple discriminant analysis or MDA. So a classification technique that identifies the linear combination of financial variables that best separates bankrupt and non-bankrupt firms. And then logistic regression, estimate the probability of bankrupts based on a set of predictor variables, particularly useful when the dependent variable is binary, and then the bankrupt is 1, non-bankrupt is 0. And then the second is multivariate probit or logit models. These are non-linear models used to estimate the likelihood of bankruptcy when the relationship between variables is not strictly linear. Principal component analysis or PCA reduces the dimensionality of financial data to identify key composite variables or the component that explain the most variance in bankruptcy prediction. And then artificial neural networks or ANN and machine learning models. More recent applications use AI technique to capture complex nonlinear relationship among financial variables. Okay, the next is commonly include financial variables. Multivariate analysis typically combines several types of financial indicators, such as the first is liquidity ratios. There are current ratio and quick ratio, and then the second is leverage ratios. For example, is debt to equity, total debt to total asset. And then the third is profitability ratios. There are return on asset and return on equity. And then the fourth is efficiency ratios. There are asset turnover and inventory turnover. And then the 5 is coverage ratios. There are interest coverage ratio. The next is advantage of multivariate analysis. The first is provides a comprehensive view of financial health. And then the second is reduce bias and error associated with single variable analysis. And then the third is capable of handling complex interdependencies between variables. And then the fourth is more accurate in prediction when tested with historical data. And then the last is suitable for building early warning system in financial institution and investment decisions. And then the next material is limitation and considerations. The first is requires high quality data from multiple variables. And then the model is accuracy may vary across industries or countries. And then the third is needs statistical expertise to implement and validate. And then the fourth is risk of overfitting, especially to many predictors. And then the five is may be affected by change in accounting standards or macroeconomic shocks. Okay, the next material is Z-score method. There are the definition of Z-score. So the Z-score model developed by Edward Altman is a multivariate formula used to predict the likelihood of a company going bankrupt. This model uses 5 financial ratios that measure liquidity, profitability, leverage, solvency, and activity. The model is different for public and non-public companies. So there are the Z-score formula. The first is Z-score formula for public companies or go public. So the formula is Z ZI sama dengan 1 dikali 2 X1 ditambah 1,4 X2 tambah 3,3 X3 tambah 0,6 X4 ditambah 1,1 X5. Di mana X1 adalah current asset dikurangi current liabilities dibagi total assets, kemudian X2 adalah retained earnings dibagi total asset, and then X3 adalah EBIT dibagi total assets, dan X4 adalah market value of equity dibagi book value of total liabilities, and then the last is X5 adalah sales dibagi total asset. And then there are the Z-score formula for private companies or non-go public. The formula is ZI sama dengan 0,717 X1 tambah 0,847 X2 tambah 3,107 X3 tambah 0,420 X4 tambah 0,998 X5, di mana X1 adalah current asset dikurangi current liabilities, itu dijumlahkan terlebih dahulu dibagi total assets, and then X2 adalah retained earnings dibagi total asset, and then X3 adalah EBIT dibagi total assets, and then the X4 is book value of equity divided by book value of total liabilities, and then the X5 is sales divided by total assets. Now the interpretation of Z-score values. So if Z-score kurang dari 1,81, maka nilainya adalah high probability of bankrupt. When a company's Z-score is below 1,81, it falls into the distress zone. This means the financial indicators suggest a high likelihood of bankruptcy in the near future. Companies in this category usually show signs such as negative working capital, declining retained earnings, poor profitability, and low market confidence. For such firms, immediate corrective action are needed in liquidity, cost structure, debt management, and strategic operation. And then if Z-score-nya itu berada di antara 1,81 hingga 2,99, maka nilainya adalah ambiguous atau gray zone. When a company is Z-score falls between 1,81 dan 2,99, it is in the gray zone. These range represent a set of uncertainty. The company is neither clearly at risk nor clearly safe. Financial performance may appear stable on the surface, but underlying weakness could lead to further distress if not addressed. Companies in this category require close monitoring, strategic analysis, and possibly preventive action to avoid slipping into the danger zone.
Okay, now we move to the main of this paper, which is bankruptcy analysis of PT Unilever Indonesia Tbk using financial statement. So, financial statement analysis helps stakeholders assess a company's financial health, identify strengths and weakness, and evaluate bankruptcy risk. It also informs strategic decision-making. Now, one key method is the Altman Z-score, as Feira explained it before, a multivariate analysis using 5 financial ratios. And then after this, there will be analysis for PT Unilever Indonesia Tbk from 2022 to 2024. Before we calculate the Z-score analysis, we should looking for the account, which is the first account is current asset, and then current liabilities, total asset, return in earnings, earning before interest and taxes, and then market value of equity, and then book value of total liabilities, and the last is net sales. We should looking for this account for 3 years from the 2022 until 2024 in financial statement.
So here is the formula.
Now, for the multivariate analysis for a public company, this is the calculation Z-score analysis. The first one, we should looking for the X1. Now, for the formula, we can see from the before this slide. Okay, for the X1, the formula is current asset minus current liabilities divided by total asset. Now, I will give you the example calculation for 2022. Nah, for the 2022, PT Unilever Indonesia Tbk itu current assetnya sebesar 7.567.768 expressed in million. Kemudian hal itu dikurangi dengan current liabilities yaitu sebesar 12.442.223 dan hasil itu dibagi dengan total aset which is 18.308.114. Nah, untuk perhitungan X2, X3, X4 dan X5 tinggal mengikuti formula yang sudah tertera atau yang sudah dijelaskan sebelumnya. Sedangkan untuk ZI itu mempunyai calculation berbeda yaitu 1,2 dikali X1 ditambah 1,4 dikali X2 ditambah 3 kali 3 dikali X3 ditambah dengan 0,6 dikali X4 dan ditambah 1 kali X5. Nah, untuk ZI-nya sudah dihasilkan yaitu untuk 2022 sebesar 3,5 dan seterusnya. Untuk 2023 dihasilkan 3,47 dan seterusnya, dan untuk 2024 dihasilkan sebesar 2,7 dan seterusnya. Nah, here are Z-score chart yang seperti sudah saya sebutkan sebelumnya. Pada 2022 itu sebesar 3,5, sedangkan 2023 itu sebesar 3,4, sedangkan pada 2024 itu turun sebesar 2,7. Untuk analisisnya, kita akan lihat pada slide selanjutnya. Nah, berikut adalah analysis based on the Z-score. Jadi, based on the results of the Z-score or ZI calculation in the previous table, PT Unilever Indonesia Tbk obtained a value of 3.5 in 2022 and 3.47 in 2023. Now, both values are above the threshold of Z bigger than 2.99, which according to the Altman model indicates that the company is in the safe zone or the company in the low probability of bankruptcy. This means that in those 2 years, 2022 and 2023, the company's financial condition was quite stable and had a low risk of bankruptcy. However, if we see on the 2024, the company's net score decreased to 2.78, which is in the range of bigger than 1.81, but it's smaller than 2.99. At this range, it's referred to as a gray area, or it can called ambiguous area, which is a condition that cannot be ascertained as a safe or high risk. In other words, although the company is not yet in the emergency condition, this downward trend can be an early indication of potential financial problems in the future.
The conclusion, based on the explanation, it can be concluded that bankruptcy analysis is an important tool in assessing the financial health of a company and anticipating financial risk early on. In the practice of analyzing PT Unilever Indonesia Tbk, a multivariate approach through the Altman Z-score model is used because it is able to provide a more comprehensive picture through a combination of several financial ratios. The results of the Altman Z-score calculation for the period 2022 to 2024, so a decreasing trend in the score from the safe zone to the gray area, which indicates the potential for financial pressures to begin to emerge. This decrease in the score is influenced by factors such as negative liquidity, decreased operational efficiency, and low market confidence as reflected in the very small equity market value compared to total liabilities. Thus, bankruptcy analysis through the Altman Z-score model can be a strategic tool for companies to evaluate their financial position more comprehensively and proactively. And then the next is suggestion. Based on the result of the analysis using the Z-score method, which measures the relative position of PT Unilever Indonesia Tbk is financial value to the industry average or previous period, it is recommended that the company focus on improving aspects that give a negative Z-score value or are getting further from a healthy average value. For example, if the Z-score of liquidity shows a negative and declining number, then it indicates that the company has a higher liquidity risk than average. So strategic steps are needed to improve cash flow and current assets. Furthermore, the Z-score value for declining profitability and efficiency indicators indicates a decline in operational performance relative to the previous period. Therefore, PT Unilever needs to conduct an in-depth evaluation of production costs, asset management, and marketing strategies in order to increase revenue and asset use efficiency. In addition, a low Z-score in the aspect of capital structure indicates that the company has the potential to have greater financial risk than average. So it is important to carry out more effective debt management and capital strengthening so that financial conditions become healthier and more stable. Overall, continuous monitoring of that score on various financial indicators is an important tool for detecting potential risks early. Management is advised to use this method as a periodic control and evaluation tool in order to take proactive steps to maintain the company's financial health and increase investor and stakeholder confidence.
Okay, I think that's all from our group 4. We apologize if there are any mistakes, and thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.